Coming up on This Week in NASCAR, if it's not one Busch brother, it's the other.
Kurt Busch, Roger Penske win in Atlanta.
We'll analyze this one forward and backward. Next up on the circuit,
this is Bristol, baby.
We'll show you the best of Thunder Valley. And we got the goods on the Biff. Greg's dad tells all.
I only had to whip him once. And
you don't want to miss this.
Be ready. Be ready. Fight.
This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. And hi, everybody. I'm Steve Burns. Glad you're with us for This Week in NASCAR. Also joining us, of course, Michael Waltrip and Greg Biffle. And Greg, your dad may have whipped you just once, but the Atlanta Motor Speedway put a big whipping on you.
I'll tell you what it did. I don't even know where to start. Yesterday was a humbling day for us. I mean, you know, some days you have off days, and yesterday, I mean, anything that could have went wrong yesterday. Car's super loose to drive, and wouldn't really turn. And my teammate was outside me about 6 inches, right there on that run, and then my teammate wrecked the 82 car, was outside him about 6 inches, and then that finished our day off. So. It was a rough day, to say the least. It was a rough day. Glad it's over.
Moral to this story: if that brown car is outside of you by 6 inches, you better not pull over.
Yeah.
Michael, I'll be honest. I was at the turn 4 end of pit road, and even, you know, Jimmy Johnson, those guys, Matt Kenseth, who you expect to be really good and handling well, were not. There were a lot of ill-handling race cars.
Yeah, I saw everybody out there sideways except for Kurt Busch. He looked like he had a pretty good ride.
He looked like he was in a different world.
And then late in the, like, I got lapped 3 times, I guess, and he's the only one I ever saw. He would lap me, and we'd run another 20, 30 laps, and then the caution would come out. No one else ever made it to me. So that just shows you how good his car was. And my car, it was unmanageable. I mean, if you're loose off the corner, you can generally work with it. But I was so loose entering the corner that and I didn't deal with it too well right there, but I was so loose entering the corner that it was just a slide, and I had to guess where it was going next. We really struggled with with mine and David's cars. Marcus looked like he had a pretty good MWR car, but our 2 cars were a handful, and then they eventually blew up. Fortunately, the Napa Toyota made it to the end, minimized our damage, got a 25th, and we'll go out to Bristol and see what we can get next.
Well, Michael Waltrip said it. The one car that was dialed in was that 2 car of Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch goes to victory lane. It is his 19th career win. He got 1 win a year ago in Loudoun, New Hampshire. And, you know, guys, what's impressive about that win for Kurt Busch is at the end of last year, he was extremely honest. He said, we have been so bad and we were so disappointed that we're, in essence, testing for next year. And for a guy who's won the championship, that's hard to imagine.
Well, and I pointed it out all year long. I said, those Penske cars have got their stuff together. They're on it. And, you know, we saw it at California. We saw it at Vegas. And then Saturday in practice, Strimmy was one of the fastest guys in Atlanta. He had a fast car. He kind of fell apart during the race, but Kurt didn't. That was an awesome run. He ran that far off the wall. He had the right side of her scrubbed off.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So he was committed, but did a great job.
Yeah.
Greg, Michael, let's take a look at the top 12 in points now after 4 races. And we see 4-time champion Jeff Gordon atop the points. And a pretty impressive run, Michael, I'd say, for Clint Boyer. I know it's RCR, but that's essentially a new team.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the job that Clint and his team have done, coming together and just
2 weeks in a row,
making it happen. You know, started at Daytona, ran up front, and continuing here.
And Greg's 10th, and David Rudiman hanging in there in the top 12.
Yeah, he broke his motor yesterday, and that certainly set him back. But he's really good at Bristol. He almost won the nationwide race there a couple years ago. So looking forward to David getting back on track at Bristol.
Well, a lot of highlights coming up next when we come back on This Week in NASCAR. An errant tire causes a caution and a crew member retrieves it. A look at that next. Plus, later, the best scanner audio in our radioactive feature, including winner Kurt Busch. And coming up, a preview of Bristol and some of the most exciting finishes, including being wrecked as you win the race. We'll be right back.
This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by the auto parts experts at AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. By Z-Max. Performance you can feel. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Time now to take a look at the highlights from the Cobalt Tools 500 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway with Michael and Greg. First highlight, lap one, guys. Reed Sorensen hits the wall.
I asked him what happened, and he said, I don't know, but it happened fast, whatever it was. But it looked like the right front tire failed. Now, why that would be is a question we don't know the answer to.
Yeah. And lap 5, Kurt Busch takes the lead. That also happens early. Bobby Labonte in the 96 gets loose and spins out, and nobody touches him.
Didn't he do that again?
He did. But I think that gets to your point about how wicked loose those race cars were.
And I'm surprised. Like, I messed up at Vegas. I got tight, hopped the cushion, got in the wall. And I just told my guys, I said, I can't screw up. I got to be smart about this deal. And I had a car that any lap, any one of us could have did what Bobby did. It just happened. It could happen that easily, and you just have to manage.
Can I ask why? Why was it the track?
Well,
I mean, I heard guys saying it was like Darlington, but
I guess it's part of it's my fault too, because I did the tire test.
Yeah.
You're one of the guys. There's four guys did the tire test.
Juan Pablo was down there.
Juan Pablo was there, and a few others. And this tire, when it was 38 degrees outside, would run 29.50s at the beginning of the run and 30.30s at the end of the run. It was great, had a ton of grip and stable and drove great. We go back, first run off the truck, I mean, things all over the place. Can't even drive it.
They dropped off 2 seconds, didn't they? Almost 3 seconds.
We were up into a lot of us were up in the 34s, and you qualify at 29 something, so that's over 4 seconds. And
the difficulty is trying to tire test when you have the right conditions. And you know how Atlanta is, and it's cool in the morning. You go 2 seconds faster than you will just after lunch, and it's so hard to test for that.
The thing that I think's really good to point out is the track is worn out. So don't hop on Goodyear's back. I mean, they built a tire that, like Greg said, was great at the test. Probably made some minor adjustments to it for the warmer conditions, but the track's worn out.
Yeah.
And I like tracks being worn out, but I would like to have had a little bit more grip yesterday.
Exactly.
It was also you tested 38 degrees. It was in the high 70s yesterday, so that's a big swing. Let's move ahead. Green flag pit stops have started. The tire gets away from the 47 team of Marcos Ambrose. The crewman runs out to get it. You just cannot do that. That brings out the caution. And guys, that turned everything upside down. At that point, just 6 cars on the lead lap. And that was lap 66, I believe. Yep, lap 66.
And you know, you like to see races have twists and turns, but this one was more of a twist and turn than I think anyone saw coming.
Probably what would have happened there is NASCAR would have left that tire there until all the pit cycles were done, and then they would have thrown the caution and went out and picked the tire up. Instead, they had to throw a caution because it was a dangerous situation. You got guys pitting, guys still on the track on old tires, and you got a man out there on the racetrack with no protection, so they had to throw it.
Yeah, Jimmy Watts is his name, and not to call him out, but he's a real person. He's a firefighter here in Charlotte, and he knew he had made a mistake. So he knew it.
Yeah, and you know, as far as the race goes, that was early enough in the day where if you had a good car, you could overcome it.
Yeah.
So it changed the race at the time, but it didn't have an adverse ending to the story.
All right. Next, we take a look at some near misses on the racetrack. Ryan Newman boots the 18, gets into Kyle Busch, on board with Michael Waltrip.
What'd I do?
Sam Hornish gets sideways in front of you.
A little bit loose.
Now, this is something you could have seen about every lap.
We did. Robbie Gordon in the 7 car.
And eventually, if you try those walls long enough, look at this.
Wow. Kurt Busch rim riding.
I think he's just like an inch away from it right there.
And then A.J. Allmendinger is loose. And Tony Stewart is going to get into Joey Logano in the 20 car. Right. Just happened.
Those blimps, you can't run into somebody and not get caught.
Yeah, they're always watching.
They'll find you every time. I think Tony Stewart just hit Joey Logano. We don't have any. Oh, yes, we do. Okay, here, look from the blimp.
You were saying earlier that the 7, Robbie Gordon, was in the wall so much that he was throwing paint chips.
Yeah, I was following him, and you know, there's white paint chips hitting my car, and I was kind of. Now, I wasn't smiling because I was driving as hard as I could to stay off the fence too, but I think everybody, you know, everybody's in the same boat. And that, again, like Michael said, what about Kurt Busch's car to be able to do what he did?
And you know what was great? I'm glad y'all showed him sideways that one time, because every time I saw him, he was dead pointing the right direction. So
makes us feel better.
Yeah, it got away from him once or twice too.
All right, David Reagan now. This is tough for Greg, but David Reagan gets into his teammate Greg Biffle, and excuse me, Greg, we have 3 angles of this.
Yeah, I was just, you know, the car's sliding up the racetrack, and I saw him back there, and you know, normally you think your teammate, if it's, I knew it was only by a few inches that I wasn't clear of him, and we were both able to save it right there. But
that's funny. He hit you, and he hit the wall, and you didn't.
Yeah.
Well, you did a great job.
Yeah, but it's tough, you know, when you're like that, and you kind of have a code with your teammate. You know, hey, if don't hook me by 6 inches. You know, if you know, I didn't mean, I was trying not to go up there. You know, I had the wheel in it, but these cars slide around so much, it was going up there, and I didn't want it to, and I figured he'd cut me a little break right there. But
well, coming up next, a look at the big wreck on the front stretch involving Scott Speed and our very own Greg Biffle. Also still to come, Bristol is the first short track on the schedule. We'll preview the race at Thunder Valley. And later, a feature on Greg Biffle and his dad as they take us back in time before Greg got into NASCAR. We'll be right back. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Time now for our picture of the week. To get your copy, go to the Twin show page on speedtv.com. Use the link to email us. Put 234 laps led on the subject line. Be sure to include your shipping address in the email. Last week's winner was S. Bailey from DeWitt, Michigan. And 1 entry per.
Not 234.
Right? Nope, just 1.
And I saw a highlight of that thing. It said 234 of 500 yesterday. You know, he led 234 laps of a 500-mile race. He led a lot.
Yeah, so 2/3 of it.
Well, we saw his brother get all crazy out there in Fontana and lead about every lap in the truck and nationwide race. And Kurt must have said, I need to shake a few.
Watch Big Brother.
Yeah, I need to shake a few cobwebs off here. I'll show you how it's done on Sunday.
All right, let's take a look at some more of the highlights from the Cobalt Tools 500. Sam Hornish. Trouble for Sam.
Even more trouble for Bill Elliott.
And more trouble for Bill Elliott.
Bill had managed to stay on the lead lap, and Sam got into the wall, and when he bounced off the wall, right into Bill's lap.
On board with Mark Martin. Trouble for him 3 weeks in a row, and he loses a right rear tire and hits the wall.
That's what mine felt like.
And Jeff Gordon had passed Kurt Busch for the lead, but guess what? Kurt Busch.
Look at the ground he makes on him in one corner.
One corner.
He went in that turn behind him and came out. He had a quarter of a straightaway on him. It's awesome.
Time now for the Geico Greatest Pit Crew, and that is going to be, guess what? The number 2 crew for Kurt Busch, led by Pat Tryson. He comes in with the lead, and he goes out with the lead.
Repeatedly.
On those stops, Jimmy Johnson got a speeding penalty. He was too fast entering, and Jeff Gordon had a slow stop because of a dropped lug nut on the left rear. And, you know, again, and we saw that on pit road. I'm wondering, obviously you guys are in the race car, but are your pit crew guys, are they putting that much more pressure on themselves to try to get track position?
You know, they are. I mean, you do everything you can, and that's their job. They train all week, just like, you know, we practice and hot lap and qualify, get ready for the event. Those guys, I mean, the pressure's on. They have 7 times to not make a mistake, and they're trying to go so fast. And you know, those lug nuts can fall off. Things can happen. They get the wrench stuck. I mean, you know, anything can happen. And the thing is that they're trying their hardest. They're doing the best job that they can do and trying to be fast at it.
And you got 20 lug nuts on one pit stop. And how often do we hear of one falling off? I think it's amazing it doesn't happen more.
Yeah.
Time now for the sprint monster moment. And Scott Speed wrecks. And unfortunately, Greg Biffle gets turned hard into the front stretch wall. Greg, we're not picking on you. It was just a bad day.
Yeah, there again, there's the 6 car had about 6 inches outside of Scott's speed and unfortunately turned him in the fence. And we were slowing down and got hit by Jeff Burton, hit us from behind and turned us into the outside wall. And obviously Jeff just, you know, his spotter didn't, you know, tell him in time. I started slowing down. You know, my spotter told me there was a wreck. The 82's in the fence.
That wreck, that wreck seemed to start happening maybe over on the back straightaway. There was a lot of stuff going on right there in that pile as we raced down into turn 3.
And I might have been all right, but the 12 was outside of me. When the 31 hit me, it shot me that way right across the nose of the 12 and got me going further, you know, faster towards the outside wall. So it was a pretty big hit.
Monster hit.
Yeah, monster hit. I'm nursing my little ribs and body and shoulders today.
Tell them what else you did today. You went to the Little Rock.
I went to Little Rock and tested for Martinsville.
Oh, in Rockingham.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
And you went to the Coca-Cola World.
I did. I took Macy to Coke World, and tomorrow I get to go to Little Rock.
All right. Cool. It's time now for the Castrol Edge smart move of the race. 99 team, after Robbie Gordon shreds a tire, the 99 team will take 2 tires to get the lead and track position.
Now, let me make a point here, Steve.
Please, sir.
If on the restart somebody spins out and there's a caution, the 99 wins the race.
That's right.
They put themselves in a position to win that race. Now, they're not going to hold off the 2 car. They're not going to hold them off on 4 tires. But if on the restart things get all jammed up and something goes crazy, he's your winner.
That's right.
After the race, Carl said that was our only move.
Yeah.
We took it. And he held on to finish 3rd.
There's the backwards part you talked about earlier. He took a backwards victory lap.
Was that
Steering looks a little off.
Yeah, that's kind of how
I
my
thought he was
car.
going to hit the wall.
That's how my car felt going forward.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
I'm glad he did that. Now he knows what we were up against, right, Bill?
That's right. They should make him race backwards next Atlanta.
Yeah, next time he wants to get all cute by smearing everybody's face in it, they ought to turn him around a while.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to hit the wall right there by the start-finish line.
Yeah.
Going backwards.
He did a great job.
He absolutely did. Well, after this, the best Atlanta scanner conversations, including Dale Earnhardt Jr. threatening to beat his crew with a hammer. What? And we'll recap the truck race from Saturday where Colin Brown took a heck of a hit on the backstretch. We'll be right back.
The Greatest Pit Crew has been presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. The Monster Moment has been brought to you by Sprint. For more Sprint Cup series, go to sprint.com/speed. The Smart Move of the Race has been presented by Castrol Edge. Think with your dipstick. Upgrade to new Castrol Edge Advanced Synthetic. Nothing offers better wear and protection.
I got to tell you what I think of Atlanta. The Deep South and the Waffle House, baby. Yes, Atlanta.
I love Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is the greatest racetrack.
I'm going to say something that I haven't said here for a long, long time. Could you pass me some sunscreen, please?
Hey, old man Earnhardt loved this racetrack because it brings the driver out.
Here comes Skinner, looking down to the bottom of the racetrack. Side by side for second. Kyle Busch says, wait a minute.
Is this a green room? I think this is a green room. It's not green. It's not green. I expected much more green.
Has Kurt Busch been saving something? Has Brian Vickers used it all up?
This is the place. We'll see one today.
Coming out, turn number 4. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch will win again.
Here comes Busch. Here comes Gordon in the middle.
The drag race to the checkered flag will be won by Kurt Busch in the Miller Lite Dodge.
I had the good fortune of being able to call the race on speed, the truck race on Saturday, and I still don't know how the heck he did that. He started out with only 4th gear, fell back to 9th or 10th, and in 2 laps was leading the race and held off a guy that had the fastest truck all day long. Yeah. What a great job by both Bushes this weekend.
If it's not one Bush brother, it's the other.
Brother.
We'll see the truck highlights in just a minute. What about Jimmy Spencer saying that Jeremy Mayfield should fire himself?
I'm not sure about that. Those guys are scratching and scraping to get to the racetrack, and
they are.
You know,
I'm proud of Jeremy.
I am too. Hey, no race this weekend, but the Speed Report, 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, followed by Wind Tunnel. Steve Letarte will join Dave Despain, and Speed Report will have an update on tire testing from Darlington. Well, edgy, snappy loose, worst car I ever drove. Just some of the things we heard on the radio yesterday at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Here's our radioactive feature.
I'm a radioactive.
Radio check 1 2. 10-4, got you. Check 1 2. I got you there. You got me okay? Got a copy. 10-4.
50-year-old Mark Martin will start the action today in the Cobalt Tools 500.
Not telling you what to do, but I'm just telling you, like, those guys are running up high. We're running an awful lot faster than us. And I'm trying everything all over. It's just not easy out here. Not saying it is, man. I wouldn't want your job. Just telling them, just feeding the information. Got the right rear melted right off, just so loose.
They've had to waive the caution because a mechanic walked out halfway out to the racing surface to get it.
Caution is out. Caution is out. Crew member out here with the tire in the grass. Dude, awesome. I couldn't believe that dude run out there on the damn infield. I ain't never seen that before. I actually paid the guy $10 to do that.
See how Jimmy Johnson gained 3 spots? It's because he was too fast exiting pit road.
48 cars, too fast exiting. Done that all day long, and I even backed it down. I knew it was coming. As soon as they showed us on TV, I knew it. If my wheel comes off and I hit the fence real hard, I get to whack every damn one of you with a hammer. Is that a deal? Y'all need some incentive to keep my tires on, obviously. Hey, Food, I don't know if that Terry's got enough fuel to make it. You're going to have to. We need gas anyhow, or it ain't going to make it. It's all good, buddy. It's all good. Just go out there and have yourself a blast. You're not instilling much confidence. Well, you know, it's only 3 laps, man. I believe you can do it. I know you a wheel, man. You'll make it happen.
Kurt Busch, Roger Penske win in Atlanta.
There you go, Kurt Busch. That's awesome, buddy. Feels like old times, man. Thank you so much for sticking with us, bud. Woo-hoo-hoo! Great job. Great job. Thanks to 99 for racing the school. Woo! I believe it's time to spray some beer!
man, the thing I love about the scanner feature is, you know, I don't ever get a chance to sit and listen to it, but I can't imagine watching the race, being able to listen to all the things going on from home or at the racetrack and having a scanner on. It's unbelievable. Dale Jr. having loose wheels. Guys can't drive the race car. I mean, just so much animation it puts into the race.
Well, Michael, as you said, you're out there in your own little island, and people get to hear what you say.
Yeah.
The only conduit you have to the world is this button on the steering wheel, and you feel like you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof when you go pushing on that thing. You tell people what your problems are. Dale Jr. is going to beat guys in the head with a hammer. That's how tough he was.
And you know what Tony Yerrick Jr. said?
What?
10-4.
10-4. What other dude say? What'd you expect?
What'd you expect? So Pootie Barker says, I love that. What do y'all expect? As Michael said, great win by Kyle Busch in the Camping World Truck Series race with a torn-up transmission. Here's a look.
It's Kyle Busch and Rick Crawford coming to the green flag. Crawford starting his 300th race. A great start, and we're underway in Atlanta. Problems with Ricky Carmichael in the Ford. It's turned around. Problems behind him. Trying to avoid the aid of Dennis.
Trying to get back going, bud. Trying to get her going.
There's a 6 of Colin Brown. He gets in the back of Ricky going in the corner, turns Ricky around. Chad McCumbee does a great job getting by. Look at Rick Crawford. Look at the job he does avoiding them. But unfortunately, Dennis Setzer had absolutely nowhere to go.
Here comes Colin Brown on the outside trying to take over second from Kyle Busch. Oh! It's the 6 of Colin Brown that got turned around and hard into the inside wall.
Was straight into that inside wall.
You can see how slow Cook is off the turn. Colin gets right up on the back of Terry Cook, hits him, and then bam! Brian Scott hits Brown in the back and sends him to the inside wall.
Just straight. Look at that safer barrier. Thank goodness for that safer barrier on the inside wall on the back stretch.
We're on board with Colin Brown now.
Watch him here. Clear low, clear, clear, clear.
He just had no idea he's getting ready to get hit.
We just got wrecked.
Yeah, he actually ran in the back of Terry Cook as well.
We know that Kyle Busch is going to struggle getting back up to speed if he doesn't have third gear. In the gas, and the green flag flies. Now Kyle Busch moves to the inside.
Brian Scott to the inside.
Brian Scott watch it into the wall a bit as he comes off of turn 4. Todd Bodine is your leader. Here comes Kyle Busch. A big run on the outside. He goes by the 30 of Todd Bodine as they go into turn number 3.
Oh, he's sideways. He gets a little sideways early in the corner.
Sideways again. Here comes Kevin Harvick. Coming out of turn number 4. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch will win again.
You see? I told you I still couldn't figure out how he did it. He fell out of sight, and 2 laps later, he's all up in the middle of them and wins the race. I know Kevin Harvick's thinking, darn it, that guy's pretty good, or I'd have won this darn thing. It all worked out. Sometimes you see a charge that is something that makes you say, that kid's good, and that's one of those times. And then you watch his brother the next day, and you're like, that's another guy that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good weekend for those people.
If it's not one Busch brother, it's another. When we come back, the most exciting finishes from the Bristol Motor Speedway, and they involve guys like Gordon, Martin, Allison, and Wallace. Greg Biffle won a NASCAR championship in both trucks and a nationwide series, but you won't believe what age he started working on engines.
It is a 500-lap race on a high-banked half-mile oval.
This is a special race. This isn't a normal race. They all want to win at Bristol.
You can't hide at this racetrack.
Everything is exciting about the Bristol Motor Speedway. It's in a beautiful part of the country in eastern Tennessee, and 150,000 fans circle that racetrack, and the finishes are worth the price of admission.
Here we go. Green, white, checkered flag finish.
Here they come off the corner. They're side by side.
The bump and run. This might be deja vu all over again, but in reverse.
Oh, another exciting Bristol finish. Last year was the closest finish in NASCAR history here at this event, when Davey Allison beat Mark Martin by 8 inches. Rusty Wallace moving high off the second corner, bleeding down the backstretch. Ernie Irvin will try to make a final move. He taps Rusty. It looks like Rusty Wallace is going to win by about a half a car length. Earnhardt lurking in second position. Now let's see. They're down to 4 or 5 car lengths.
And a slow car right in Earnhardt is right on his back bump.
Let's see what strategy he pulls. Lamani is sideways but wins the race. Crashes and he wins anyway. How about that?
Dale caught me, gave me a little shot in the back there, and I just stood the gas, and we beat him across the line.
Man, oh man, look at Lamani go. He's got second.
He's going to catch it. Can he pass it?
Coming to the white flag. There's a leader change, and Lamani takes the lead. Oh, and Earnhardt spins him out. Dale Earnhardt takes the checkered flag.
Here comes Gordon right up to the bumper again. The bump and run.
There it is.
Gordon underneath to the lead. The checkered flag at the end of the witness street.
They get nailed in the rear end in the last lap and turn sideways. I didn't expect it.
Green, white, checker. 2 laps to go. There goes Burton on the outside. Jeff Burton.
1 lap to go. Jeff Burton looking to the inside of Kyle Busch. Jeff Burton nudges him coming out of turn 4 down to the stripe. It's Kyle Busch by a half a car length, beating Jeff Burton in the first car of tomorrow's race here at the Bristol Motor Speedway.
Well, I think every finish is exciting at Bristol. I know I've been involved in a lot of them, but it's just so much excitement. You just walk in that place, and it's just so much excitement.
Electric.
So many people, electric. You can hear the fans, and at night, you see the sparks flying, and Bristol's just a place that every fan has to experience.
Michael, I tell people, I'm biased, but I think TV does a good job of depicting it. But it's like Greg says, unless you're there in person, there's stuff going, on every lap at both ends of the track. It's kind of hard to take it all in.
Yeah, and the wave, the fans do the wave all the way around the racetrack.
You remember when that one guy come jumping over cars and landed right in front of you?
Yeah.
That was
I remember
awesome.
that too.
First short track of 2009. How do you change your mentality for short tracks, or do you at all?
I don't think you do at all. It's the same 42 guys you're going to line up against. The best in the world are going to be at Bristol, just like they were at Atlanta. So you know you got to bring your A game, and you race every lap like it's the last lap. That's the way NASCAR racing works these days.
Greg, this car, this COT is so tough. It seems like it can take a lot of punishment. Does that help you at Bristol?
I think it does a little bit. You know, we're going so fast there and it's so tight. You usually don't get in the wall soft at Bristol. usually it's a big wreck, but they will take a little, you know, abuse. You know, normally a wreck at Bristol, you're having problems.
Greg, if you watch this show tonight, you're gonna be depressed because like every time they show you, your car's on fire right behind you.
I know. I saw that when I walked in. I was looking
at it right there.
Back there. I'm thinking about moving my chair or something.
Lean over this way and get that fire out of here.
Yeah.
Michael, it's the 5th race of 2009, which means at the end of the Bristol race, we lock in this year's owner points. There's some guys that are, you know, on the brink there.
There's some interesting stories back there. You've got the 71 car. Those guys, Kevin Buckler and his guys have done a great job. They're inside the top 35. You got Mark Martin that's just barely inside the top 35.
Ryan Newman.
And then Ryan Newman as well. And then outside is Scott Speed in the 82 car. So he's going to have to qualify on speed unless something doesn't good happen for him at Bristol.
By the way, Kurt Busch, a 5-time winner at Bristol. Well, up next, a look back to the great Bristol battle between Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch, which included some post-race fireworks. And Bristol is progressively banked for multi-groove racing. We'll ask the drivers what it's like to race on that banking. This Week in NASCAR will be right back. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Well, last August, as is usually the custom at the Bristol Motor Speedway, it was a wild race and pretty heated battle between Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch. They were fireworks on the track and off.
This is a special race. This isn't a normal race. This is Bristol, baby.
These drivers must attack. You can't hide at this racetrack. It's only a half-mile long. There's nowhere to go.
The atmosphere, you're jacked up, you're wound up, the pit crews are fired up, they all want to win.
Getting set for full contact stock car racing NASCAR style.
Checking up front up here, checking up front end.
Here's their black flag in the 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Sorry about that. Don't worry about it, just be smart here.
It had to have something to do with passing before he got to the start-finish line or something.
How patient are you? How long do you wait?
There's your answer right there.
Yes, Kyle Busch said, I'm not going to wait at all.
Those lap timers are great there when you get out in clean air versus anybody else in clean racetrack. I think it was just a too soft the right front, the start of the run. Just didn't want to turn very good. How do my brakes look to you, Bob? I haven't been paying attention to them, but I'll check them this time. Doing good here, bud. Doing good. They're jumping 88. Hey, come on low. Back it down, back it down, back it down, back it down. Stay low. Clear high now.
Lots of traffic for our leader, Kyle Busch.
99 totally overdriving, but too bad. Looks like 18's just a little better rolling the center. It looks like he doesn't have any better forward bite off. He looks pretty loose off.
Carl, he's faster than Kyle on these restart speeds. Still can't get by.
3 and 4 right on the outside lane, right at the Food City. I ain't seen 2/10 quicker than the 18. You gain on him when they run that bottom line, bud.
This is great racing. Now look at these guys. This is two pros really going at it. Oh, he might have it here. Here he goes. Here he goes.
Corner door.
Moved him out of the way. Just got the lead.
Here comes Kyle back at him again. He's going to get to him. Down the back straightaway. Got a hammer in turn 3. Carl Edwards will come down and win in Bristol, Tennessee.
Oh, awesome race. Carl Edwards, you are the man, boys. You did a great job today.
A little nudge here from Kyle Busch. I don't know what's going on there.
They're pushing and shoving a little bit over there.
Don't do anything crazy there, bud.
Well, race car drivers, NASCAR drivers want to win the Daytona 500. That's top of the list. But winning at Bristol, getting to stand on top of victory lane and feel those hundreds of thousands of people cheering and just knowing what a car match you were just involved in. I was fortunate enough to win Bristol one night in my Nationwide car that we built behind our house. And I think that meant more to my guys than if we had won Daytona in a Nationwide car. It's just a special feeling having success at Bristol.
Greg, what I thought was funny about that race is Kyle, I think, called Carl Carl, Mr. Ed, and Carl said, if I had it to do over again, I'd do the same exact thing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's obvious that Carl had a faster car at that point, and you know, felt it was his only opportunity to give Kyle a little bit of a bump to get him out of the way, and it's tough being on the receiving end of that, but.
Did you see the highlights we showed? That's how you do it.
Yep.
It's like Booty says, what do y'all expect?
Yeah, line up. What are you gonna think you're gonna get?
Michael, you started racing there in the mid-'80s when it was asphalt. You were there, obviously, when it went to concrete. Talk about now the progressive banking they went to a couple years ago. How's it changed it?
It's just made it raceable. Used to, everybody from first to 42nd, if you wanted to pass somebody, you go into the corner, you had to hit them. You know, you just couldn't make any ground any other way. Now you have 2 lanes. If someone's running the bottom, you have an option to go up to the top and get around them. So I'm just a big fan of racing. I don't like a bunch of caution flags. And this is, you know, we had green flag pit stops at Bristol. We hadn't seen that in forever. So look at there, 3 wide. Who would have thunk it?
Greg, I remember the first race on the progressive banking. The fans said, hey, what happened? But the drivers loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it was it races really good. It's kind of weird because if you run the middle, it's hard to be able to pass a guy, you know, because you can't quite get underneath him and you can't get above him. So it's still, you put all those cars in a half a mile going that fast. We're turning 15-second flat, 16-second laps. I mean, it's hard to pass.
It's time now for another racing question for Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. How much was the first NASCAR purse? If you want the answer now, go to Ask.com, where NASCAR fans go to get answers. Ask.com, the official search engine of NASCAR. When we return on This Week in NASCAR, Greg Biffle and his dad reminisce about racing back in the Northwest before Greg got his big NASCAR break. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back. This Week in NASCAR is brought to you by Geico. Well, if you were to ask anybody in the garage areas in any of NASCAR's top 3 series how they got to this point in their career, I think 100% of them would say it's family. No different for Greg Biffle and his father, Jack.
He was always in a garage tinkering or whatever else. We went to school one time, small engine repair. He wasn't old enough, and so they made a stipulation that if I go, he could come, you know, and he was like 8 or 9.
I was just tinkering on anything that ran and burned gas, you know. I'm out there, he's drug this lawnmower out of the weeds one time, and I got it running. I don't know why. It was something to do, I guess.
I encouraged this. He wanted to go motorcycle racing, and no way. So I drug him off to Portland Speedway, and we went a couple of times and watched, and I thought we could build a street stock car. That's how it really started.
The other part was he wanted me to quit getting speeding tickets on the street, you know, and so I'm out street racing on Friday or Saturday night or doing whatever, and so I got, you know, speeding tickets and some other stuff. I think my dad had the big idea that we should take this Northwest Tour car, which is like from a local Friday, Saturday night bomber class to going and racing the you know, Hooters Cup Series or Camping World East Series, so that was quite a jump. And then we tinkered around with running it at home around the Northwest in the Northwest Tour. And it was sort of out of our league a little bit, you know, money-wise, and to do that. So then I kind of regrouped. Then I was hooked, you know, hook, line, and sinker. I was going racing for sure at that point.
The minute he got a ride or got a truck ride, I was really happy. I thought, oh, somebody else is paying the bill.
If I had to go back and do it over again, I don't know that I would change anything.
Well, that was a great look at Greg Biffle and his dad, Jack. And you know, Greg, when you guys are in Victory Lane, you thank the guys back at the shop and you thank the guys that built those cars and pitted your car. But I guess in the back of your mind, you think about those days with your mom and dad.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of support. I think every racer, you know, coming up had the support of his parents. They're the ones that got them into it. They're, you know, a lot of them started racing. They weren't old enough to drive to the track. So I don't believe my mom missed a race from the time I was there till I went Craftsman truck racing. So yesterday was my dad's birthday. So I don't know if he's watching, but happy birthday day late.
Michael, I was watching that, and I got to spend some time with your dad, Leroy, and what a vibrant person he was. Did it kind of make you miss him watching that?
Oh, certainly, but I really love seeing your relationship with your dad and how instrumental he was in helping you get going. That's a really good story, Greg.
Yeah. That's fun.
That was great. I enjoyed that. Time now for our Z-Max Fuel for Thought segment, and first question is kind of interesting. Greg, why do the rear tires rotate slightly during a pit stop? And I don't know that I've noticed that.
Well, that's a very observant fan. I was talking to Michael about, but what'll happen is we put the car in neutral, and then when they drop the jack right there, we put the car in first gear and get our feet situated on the brake and the gas and be ready to go when they drop the jack. Now, one thing that drivers are notorious for is forgetting to do that or doing it late, and if the thing is jacked up and you put it in gear, it turns the tire a little bit while the tire changer is trying to do it. Or if we let our foot off the brake before they're ready, sometimes the tires will start to turn. So you got to keep your foot on the brake, and you want to shift, put it in gear when the car's down, coming from the right around to the left.
That was very observant. All right, Michael, here's your question. Could anyone on a team who is not an over-the-wall crew member substitute as needed, or does it require NASCAR's approval?
No, you can, if you're there in the pit, you have a credential, your pass allows you to work on the car. And that means you can work on the car whether it's behind the wall or over the wall. As long as you have on the proper safety equipment, you're allowed to go over the wall and work.
Excellent.
All right, we'll be back in just a minute, and a reminder of our picture of the week. Go to the Twin Show page on speedtv.com and use the link to email us. Put 234 laps led on the subject line. Be sure to include your shipping address in the email. One entry per email address, please, or Michael will get mad.
This Week in NASCAR is presented by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Brought to you in part by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. And by new Irish Spring Conditioning Hair and Body. Freshness from head to toe.
Tune into a special edition of This Week in NASCAR. Next Monday, we'll go in-depth on the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Executive Director Winston Kelly will stop by and fill us in on what type of exhibits, artifacts, and interactive areas will be available for the fans. We'll also bring in some special guests to debate who should be included in the inaugural Hall of Fame class. That's This Week in NASCAR special edition on the Hall of Fame next Monday at 8 Eastern and only on Speed. Well, guys, I'm curious. We're through the first part of the season. We're in Daytona for 2 weeks. Then we went out to the West Coast for 2 weeks, and then Atlanta. Is this weekend off? Is it a welcome thing for your team, Michael, or do you wish we could just keep right on going?
No, I think it's great for everybody. You know, we've got a chance to get off to a start, see where our stuff is, how it stacks up, and now you can kind of regroup. Our week off, or my week off particularly, is going to be kind of busy. I'm going to Little Rock tomorrow, going to Washington, D.C. for Napa, doing an appearance for them, and then I'm going to head out west and do My Name is Earl. So,
the TV show.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Your name's Michael.
I know. I'm going to do it with My Name is Earl guy. So.
Do you have speaking roles?
I do.
Awesome.
I can't wait. I love the fact that I'm going to get to do that. And
that's going to be fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
What about you, Greg? You like the weekend off?
Yeah, I really do. I think it's great for the teams because, you know, we're spending 2 weeks in Daytona and 2 weeks out west, and like Michael said, we all have our feet wet right now, and so to get this week off, get kind of regrouped. Now we're going short track racing for a few weeks. I think it's great.
How will Greg Biffle spend the weekend off?
I think I'm going to spend the week off, spend a little time at home at the house and mess around with my shop, probably go to my mountain property for a little bit, at least a couple days.
Well, we'll be back here next Monday night at 8 o'clock. Winston Kelly joins us. Michael, Greg, thank you. Had a good time. Missed you last week.
Yes, sir. Glad to be back.